So welcome everyone. Let's, I think, pick up the threads from the synthesis of yoga where we left last. So we were on page number 354, the last paragraph. I think we have to start with release from heart and mind. The paragraph starting with the desire mind must also be rejected. Yeah. So would anyone want to read it out?
Yoga, synthesis of yoga.
The synthesis of yoga. Yeah, we have been doing this. Yeah.
Page number
Page number 354.
354. Because I'm not able to read on mobile.
Yeah, you have a hard copy?
Yes, I
Okay.
have book.
So it should be,
Okay.
I think it should be in your hard copy
Yes.
also the same
Yeah,
page.
I got it. Got
Okay,
it. Got it.
great.
Release from the heart and the mind.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so if anyone would like to read it out aloud for us. Yes.
Yeah, Priyanka, are you going ahead?
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. I forgot to mute myself. Yeah, I can read, but
Yes, please.
yeah, okay. So from where we have to read? I just joined. I'm a bit
Yeah.
the
The
desire.
desire mind. Yes.
Okay, okay. The desire mind must also be rejected from the instrument of thought, and this is best done by the detachment of the Purusha from thought and opinion itself. Of this, we have already had occasion to speak when we considered in what consists the integral purification of the being. For all this movement of knowledge, which we are describing, is a method of purification and liberation, whereby entire and final self knowledge becomes possible, a progressive self knowledge being itself the instrument of the purification and liberation. The method with the thought mind will be the same as with all the rest of the being. The Purusha, having used the thought mind for release from identification with the life and body and with the mind of desire and sensations and emotions, will turn round upon the thought mind itself and will say, "This too I am not. I am not the thought or the thinker. All these ideas, opinions, speculations, strivings of the intellect, is its predilections, preferences, dogmas, doubts, self corrections are not myself. All this is only a working of Prakriti which takes place in the thought mind. Thus, a division is created between the mind that thinks and wills and the mind that observes, and the Purusha becomes the witness only. He sees, he understands the process and laws of his thought, but detaches himself from it. Then, as the master of the sanction, he withdraws his past sanction from the tangle of the mental undercurrent and the reasoning intellect and causes both to cease from their importunities. He becomes liberated from subjection to the thinking mind and capable of the utter silence.
Yeah. Yeah. Any thoughts? Any reflections? So it's like, how it's like we are creating a distance between the instrument and the will, the consciousness which is there. This process that Sri Aurobindo is describing, as if a distance is being created so that there is a little bit of mastery over the instrument. If I'm, like if I have to drive a car, there needs to be a difference between, me and the car, so that if I want to steer it left, I know how to do that, left, right, I know how to do that, brake. So that's what it feels like, as if the distance is being created so that mastery can happen. When I want to utilize the thoughts and emotions, they are there, but it's not that they are overruling, mind, life, and the body. Usually they are overruling us because there is this tanglement, what he was sharing here. Yeah, this one. Then, as the master of sanction, because it is my sanction, many a times we are wondering that I have no choice, but we don't realize that by default, as if we have a tangled mix of this observing self and what is being observed, and we don't realize that by default I have given it sanction. That's it. So now it is withdrawing the sanction, then as the master of sanction, it is my sanction. That's where, a bit of choice and free will comes into picture. That okay, thoughts may be there, but now I don't want to engage in the thought stream, so it's my will. Now the will is in action consciously. So then, as the master of sanction, he withdraws his past sanction. That was also a sanction, which we usually, we don't realize that it's, I have plunged into this darkness, ignorance of being entangled with thought, emotions, feelings, and I can also withdraw the sanction. The will is with me, the divine will is acting in me. Then, as the master of sanction, he withdraws his past sanction from, I think, beautiful, really very crisp, revelatory words, from the tangle of the mental undercurrent. All these thoughts in which we are identified, feelings which we consider as me, mine, my thought, I have to fulfill it, my desire. So, all that sanction that earlier was there, it is taken back from the tangle of mental undercurrent and the reasoning intellect, both, and causes both to cease from their importunities. I don't know about this word, a very unique word, new word for me.
I checked the meaning.
Yeah.
It's in the dictionary.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't know it as well. So
yeah.
it says persistence, especially to the point of annoyance. So, it, yeah. So
Oh, okay.
whatever we are constantly, we are so habituated to the
Habituated,
giving
yes.
sanction to our own thoughts, persistence, persistently living in our thought. So
Yes.
that is, it was such a beautiful word,
Okay.
Monica.
Yeah,
So I
interesting.
didn't know
Thank
this.
you. Thank you for looking it up.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Bye.
Mm. So, like this, stepping back, he becomes liberated from the subjection, which the word that was used, this like obsessive, compulsive, uh, this habit of being with those patterns of thinking, feeling, intellect, thinking that this is me, and not even thinking that this is me. There is such an entanglement that I am this, there is no me otherwise. So now, if we want, there is a stepping back, and the witnessing self is being stabilized, that stance is being taken, which is what we try to do with all these practices, like what Rupert Spira shares, like taking stance as awareness, knowing that you are nothing but this witnessing self all the time. So that stability, I think, comes slowly with whatever tool or method we may pick. I think it is a gradual, slow process of stabilizing, really, because it's difficult. Many a times reading about it, we become, it comes to us that as if I have realized it. So reading and understanding is a different thing, and realizing and stabilizing as the witness self as the awareness, that's again, a process in time. So then he becomes liberated from subjection to the thinking mind and capable now of utter silence. Usually we are so tangled up in the mind that our own mind is like a marketplace all the time, because we just feel that there is a promise in every thought, every feeling, whatever opinions are going on, there is a promise there, too much identification with them. But now when I begin to identify with this witnessing self, there I can actually have the joy of that silence and intimacy with my own self, which I could not have when one is identified with that incessant stream of thought and feelings. Yeah, so yeah, this is really beautiful. Yeah, any reflections are welcome. We can take it right from the beginning. I just barged in the middle. Yes, anyone? So he starts this paragraph with, now he touched upon the emotional mind, that it's capable of deeper emotions. It's not that we have to become numb, but the deeper ones would only come in front when we begin to step back from these negative, disturbing emotions like, jealousy, hate, blame, all these that create turmoil in us, anger. So when that we step back from, then we are capable of living out deeper emotions like, oneness, kindness, compassion, which is just like a default byproduct of stepping back, slowly as we stabilize. The desire mind must also be rejected from the instrument of thought. So all the thoughts of desires, demands, expectations, basically getting really totally disenchanted from the worldly fleeting phenomena, in the sense that not like giving it up, but knowing that the happiness, the fulfillment that I am looking, contentment that I am looking, completion that I am looking, that is not there out there. Only then can the stepping back from desire mind can happen. And this is best done by the detachment of the Purusha from thought and opinion itself. So we stop to take our thoughts and opinions so seriously. We can laugh about them. If somebody makes fun of it, no big deal. Usually that is a very big point of clash, ego clash, that how dare you make fun of, my thought, my opinion. So there no big deal, because we are not that we are identifying with. So this may have been touched upon previously in some previous chapters. I think that's why he shares here. For all this movement of knowledge which we are describing is a method of purification and liberation, whereby entire and final self-knowledge becomes possible. A progressive self-knowledge being itself the instrument of purification and liberation. So I think as we grow in our own individual journeys on the path, it's like a relative progression that one is having, and that itself guides the process, of purification and liberation. So one gets again like an unfolding happening in front of us. The method with the thought mind will be the same as with all the rest of the being, which we have touched before that, like how he touched that. Uh, yeah, here I think in the beginning that we read. Yeah, this one, stepping back from the movement, again, stepping back from the ego sense. Then he was, telling us to step back from the thought mind and its true function. And then, as we were discussing this, that we step back from all these negative disturbing discords, fear, struggle, aspiration, disgust, likes, dislike. So it's like everything like is a stepping back. And here too, he shares that here too the process is that stepping back. So the method with the thought mind will be the same as with the rest of the being. The Purusha, having used the thought mind for release from identification with the life and body. Now, how did I disengage from the feelings? I made use of my mental tark vitark and stepped back. So far I was making use of thought, because thought is on a higher plane than feelings and the body. First came stone, the matter, then came vital life feelings, and then came the mental beings or human beings, right? So that's how even the natural evolution has been progressing. So in me also, there is the body, then there are feelings, and then there is thought mind. So now I have used the thought mind to dissociate, step back from the body consciousness, not me, not me, not me. That is use of thought. Then again, feelings are not me. This incessant feel overwhelm is not me. Again, I'm using thought. Now I'm stepping back from the thought mind itself. So the Purusha, having used the thought mind for release from identification with the life and body. It's like, you use a ladder to go to a terrace, but you reach the terrace, so you let go of the ladder. You don't carry the ladder to the terrace and, like sleep on it. We don't do that usually. Some people may do that. But the thing is that the purpose of ladder is to take me up to a particular level, or a place, which is done now. So having used the thought mind for release from identification with life and body, and with the mind of desire, again, desires not me, expectations not me, this is not my true self, and sensations and emotions will turn round upon the thought mind. So this is the quality, thought mind can, it can become conscious of itself, and the consciousness is there, which is making everything possible to look at, and then it can become conscious of the consciousness itself. So will turn round upon the thought mind itself and will say, this too I am not. I am not the thought or the thinker. All these ideas, opinions, speculations, strivings of the intellect, I think I didn't, yeah, we did read it. Strivings of the intellect, its predilections, preferences, dogmas, doubts, self-corrections, even doubts, so all these self-corrections, they are not myself. It's like first grosser stepping back, then subtler stepping back, and then now even more subtle stepping back. Yeah. All this is only a working of Prakriti, which takes place in the thought mind. So this capacity is very unique, very special with human beings, and that is why we say that human birth is so precious. This looking on to our own self, becoming conscious of consciousness itself. We are all conscious beings, but we are living unconsciously. That's where yoga begins, that we begin to become conscious of our own consciousness. So here what is happening? All this is only a working of Prakriti. All the movement, all that can move is Prakriti. That's why we say thought is Prakriti, because thought is time. It's only in time it can move. Any movement is Prakriti, Shakti, force. So all this is a working of Prakriti which takes place in the thought mind. Thus, a division is created between the mind that thinks and wills and the mind that observes, and the Purusha becomes the witness only. So he's like as if holding our hands to taking us to how to really have total, utter silence in the mind, in our being. So first step back from body, stepping back from emotions, feelings, all these disturbing phenomena, and then stepping back from now the thought itself, then we can have that utter peace and silence in the being, not before that. So thus a division is created. Now, yeah, he sees, he understands the process and laws of his thought, but detaches its himself from it. So it's not that discerning is not there, understanding is not there. It's not a dumb stepping back. It's a knowing stepping back. In knowing, we are stepping back. Then, as the master of sanction, now comes the empowerment. Here where we, from time to time, we try to use methods and tools to tame the monkey mind. That's why we do it, because we are the master of our beings. It's only that we have to reclaim it. So the sanction that had been given to remain tangled in the roles, responsibilities, and thoughts, opinions, ideas, feelings, that sanction is taken back. When the being is ready, that sanction is taken back. So then, and this is what would be called, like what they call it, Swaraj, or Swaraj, Samrat, that master of our own self. But again, I think step by step process in time. Then, as the master of sanction, he withdraws his past sanction from the tangle of the mental undercurrent and the reasoning intellect, even the reason, because reason also has its own limitations. It took us this far. Reason is the helper, reason is the bar. Like I don't need to carry the ladder now where the ladder is not needed. There I would have different things available to me, but ladder is not needed because there is no wall on which I can place the ladder. So the dimension is changing. Yeah. And the reasoning intellect, and causes both to cease from their importunities. So this stubbornness with which they were sticking, reasoning intellect and the mental undercurrent, now suddenly there is a realization that, oh my god, I had been fueling this so far. I thought that they are on me, but the sanction was mine. There comes the empowering aspect of this process. Even so far, again, it was empowering, but it's like I can lose myself either into it, and I can also decide, okay, I don't want to lose myself into that entanglement. So that obsessive past habituation to believing rigidly in thoughts, opinions, ideas, there's this stubbornness that we have of old habits. There we cause both to cease from their importunities, both mental undercurrent and reasoning intellect. He becomes liberated from subjection to the thinking mind and capable now of utter silence. So I think this is where we remember how Maharaj Lele Maharaj, who was guiding Sri Aurobindo, and he said that, he closed the room and he said that now you have to silence your mind. And Sri Aurobindo was able to do it on the first day itself, while he stayed there for 3 days inside that room. And then later on he asked, were you able to do it or you're not? He said that I was able to do it the first day itself. This utter silence in the mind. Anything anyone wants to share, add on?
Yeah, the story I have heard is that, he asked that what next? What do I do now that I have silenced the mind? And then he said that, then I don't know because I still haven't been able to do it. So now you go, like that's all I could teach you. So that's pretty amazing. Yeah. Sometimes when you experience some things that are taking place, and yet they're just taking place, and when you read them, usually you read and then you see, okay, this is also a possibility. And when it's happening and you read, okay, this is what it happens. It feels it feels a bit both strange and not strange. I mean, and yet the mechanical nature of things, when things are happening to me, there is a level of, I don't know, the special, or, okay, this is what the I am observing. And I think it's so good to see this like stated, that this is also just a process. This is also just a process. There's no I here, because somehow, I don't know, this even when, say, there is an argument, or even if you are saying, okay, we agree to disagree, or, you don't see anything and there's just a ripple, there's some thing about the I, this opinion that it's being said, that as if just because something is coming through me, to me, it's a bit about, because I think this is my feeling, thought, and there is a speciality. I mean, there must be a purpose to it. And yeah, I mean, there has to be. And yet that subtleness of that, because it's mine, I resonate with it. It's pretty sticky. It's pretty, like I say, it's like it feels that it's not possible. It's so intertwined, it feels sometimes, to the self, to my, I don't know, whatever it is, that it doesn't fully withdraws yet. That little bit of I-ness is always not I-ness, but that gets better because it's me. Yeah.
Yeah. I think everything that happens, even a glimpse of something is seen within. The thing is that since the ego sense is not dying really that easily,
Mm.
so and as Sri Aurobindo says that it takes a long, long, long time, so we can be
Mm.
sure that it is always there lurking around the corner. So anything
Mm.
happens and it jumps at it, like this is
Mm.
what happened with me, what we were sharing.
Yeah.
So like the claim is taken, like we have the
Yeah.
story of Raja coming and there is a gadha in front, like a donkey in front, and people are spreading flowers on the way, and the donkey is thinking it's for me, while in the hindsight there is the Raja coming, the king coming, for whom
Yeah.
the thing is being spread.
And that's
So
a
that's why
beautiful
the
visual.
vigilance. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Good
that's why the
visual to
vigilance.
always remember.
Yes,
है ना?
yes,
कि I am that
absolutely.
donkey.
Yeah,
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
yeah.
So, the last lines were very revelatory to me, to think about how it's, about the subjection, right? That
Hmm.
there are certain places, people, situations where now I have become aware of this undercurrent, ongoing thing about my opinion, or, this is wrong, or, this is how it should be. And because of this, how this importunities, as in that, okay, what it's like, what goes of my father, if the other person is doing that, in Hindi, like, we say, mere baap ka kya ja raha hai, if he is behaving that way, she is behaving that way, कि तू अपना करना kind, and yet it's like a tape. I had, a travel thing, and there are some guides who just start as tapes. I call them, like they are the most easily available, those category of service, and then they just look at their phone, and if you interrupt them, sometimes they don't even know where to start. So just like that, I feel that if when I go to that situation, or that person, or that thinking, the thinking, it's as if, the mind knows that, अच्छा, इसकी बात हो रही है. Okay, they go and play that tape. Okay, this is what you have to think now. So this subjection, that not knowingly how I am being ruled, and now that I see that there is no use of it, it's just unnecessary chatter going on, that mostly, and I think I would say every time, it just leaves me more impure, or it just creates more ripples which are unnecessary for, and totally unnecessary for my progress, rather stalls me. So this subjection to the thinking mind, how something which I think is my highest, you know arrow in my arsenal, my mind. And you see that how because of that you're becoming a slave to those patterns. You are a slave to those patterns, and how one is trying to now just every time it goes silence, "Okay, वापस आ जाओ," just come back. It's so, I don't know how it's possible to express it in words, like unless you see it expressed. So
Yeah,
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 thank you for taking this up.
yeah. And I think also that when the mind goes and identifies with that tape that plays, in the background, we see that we are never in the present moment then.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the point is that to be fully here, wherever we are, to be fully here. But then when the tape is running, the person may be standing in front, but I'm never looking at the person. I'm just repeating that tape, and it's like a big curtain that is there
Mm,
between me and that person, that
mm,
curtain of what I think about that person.
yeah.
Yeah.
But because I believe that, okay, I know, and this is what
Hmm.
the person does,
Hmm.
so it feels like it's happening in the
Yeah,
present,
yeah.
right? Like it doesn't feel that you're not
Yeah,
there.
absolutely. Yes,
Yeah,
you're
it
right.
feels
Yes.
like
I know,
absolute.
this is what
Yeah,
he does. This is what
yeah,
he does. Every time he
yeah,
does it.
yeah.
Yeah,
There's a
absolutely.
joke, and I think it's not very, I don't know, it's not, it is funny. There was this joke that there's an American who visits India and he sees that, women have that red bindi on their forehead. And he asked that, what is this for? So the Indian man, he says this is like a record button. Every time something happens, this gets recorded in the women so that even if it has to be used 25 years later, they can just press and it's like as if it's just happened right now. So
Yeah,
that's what it is, right? We
yeah.
say, we laugh that these are jokes,
Hmm,
and yet that's what we do,
hmm,
right? Like,
hmm, yeah. And also that aspect of, there's a prayer from the mother, and many prayers touch upon that aspect. So some of the prayers mother says that if I don't reach, it doesn't happen through me. I know that it will happen through someone, this supramental thing. So I think there we realize that this ego sense, every time it is wanting to come forward, me, I did it, And with mother's prayers, I think amongst all the lessons that we get, also this lesson of humility, and also that there is this vast interconnectedness, that whether I do it, if I am the face or the other person is the face, how
mm,
does it matter? How does it matter? So mother is sharing in one of the prayers that it doesn't matter which instrument does it. The thing is that the divine victory must happen, should happen, will happen. And if I am negated, it is of no importance at all. So I think there we get this, if there is any true realization, then there is also a parallel knowing of our vast interconnectedness, which, yeah, you can't ignore that. Yeah. Or as long as there is something in me which is just wanting to come forward, let me do it. The other person, maybe not his time, let me, be the champion. There we can be very, very pretty sure that there is no true realization, as long as this divisive uh, thing is in operation. Yeah. Or even jealousy, when it comes, the jealousy, background of jealousy is again divisiveness, that he got it, I didn't get it. And that in the spiritual path also, we can take this along, that he has better realization, I don't have it. Same thing. And if there is any true realization, then I think we can see that, actually we can rejoice in somebody else's realization, that wow, so glad that this is happening. Yeah. There was this something from Vietnam War that I came to know of. It was very, I don't know, I have no words actually. I just share about it again, about this interconnectedness. So they were sharing that there was this 1963, there was this monk, Zen monk, and who in the middle of whatever was happening in Vietnam, lots of bombing and everything, what he did is that as an act of whatever, he would know, he burned himself alive. And when he burnt himself alive, not even an inch of him moved. I think that tells who he would be, that your body is burning and you're not moving an inch. You're just there in your, whatever position, lotus position. And there was, a few pictures taken of that monk, very celebrated pictures, that, yeah, I also got to know today. And it was like, so the discussion was that what is the height of, is this much of altruism necessary, that I burn myself? Why would I do that, that I am like harming my own self? So that was the discussion that was going on, and that's where the author shared that this is what happened. But then she also shared that I feel that this act is beyond what we can discuss about altruism, that you should take care of yourself and then you serve the others, because the very fact that his body did not move an inch while he was up in flames, and also the sequence of events after that, that how that moved the lots of communities, and many things happened which could not have happened if not for this sacrifice. Because, and maybe, this is, I thought, a beautiful example of interconnectedness, that he knew that if with me going, somewhere some ripple will be created, let me go. So that's where it's like true, the height of compassion and altruism. And after that, I think, following his footsteps, a couple of more monks and nuns also did it, which was really, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I had also heard in one of Thai's video that he had spoken about a female monk who
Yeah.
had done it, a very good friend of his,
Yeah.
and how she had written a letter before doing that, that how this is my love for my country,
Mm.
and this is the only way I think I'll get, this will get attention. It's not
Yes.
getting attention.
Yes.
So if this is what it takes,
Yeah. Yeah.
so if this is not suicide, this is not,
Yeah.
like protest, this is
Yeah.
not revenge, this is
Yes.
just, look what's happening kind of a
Yeah.
thing. That,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and also there are a couple of videos also, from that thing, and you can see actually like as if it's like a sacred thing happening. So even the police is like creating space for that, kerosene to be put and whatever. So yeah, I don't know, quite touching. So on one, the why I shared this, that this is the amount of interconnectedness, that it doesn't matter that whether I live or die. What matters is what matters. Same with the freedom struggle, that we have many many examples in India. Yeah.
And here we are trying to, like you said, there was a debate, right? That whether this is a good thing, bad thing. And yet, in these instances like freedom struggle and what you just shared, there is this choicelessness, right? Like, I don't know where this will take me. Mangal Pandey kind of, snatching the gun off the uh, whatever the prison ward and hitting him, shooting him. Like, I know I will not be okay, right? And yet, where I am, it's not possible for me to be like this. So, don't know what will happen, but I just know that this is not okay. So, any movement, right? Wherever it's taking me. So, the me is so behind in certain ways, right? In certain ways, it's ahead that I cannot take it. And yet the I is then so behind that come what may. But this situation, is- it's so strange, right? Starting from I, how the ego is the helper, ego is the boss. So starting from I, and then totally giving of the I because of the greater thing that this needs to happen. Yeah, pretty amazing. Sorry, I just wow.
Yeah, yeah. I think this choicelessness is very, yeah, palpable in all these examples. Some other examples that I was reading, like, a couple of girls were being harassed for religious or, these cultish reasons, and there were three, again a true story, there were three young, one 53-year old, one 21, then another one 23, three men were there, and they just could not see this happening, what you said, the choicelessness of it, that they just could not see that thing happening, and they raised their voice, and two of them got killed, because they were stabbed by that mob, or the people who were harassing. And then the people who were writing obituary or whatever, for the person who was gone, he was sharing that he was actually like this, that I can't imagine him standing and just being a witness to something like that happening, so he was just being himself. Yeah, yeah.
So basically, the debate that is happening is again of the mental domain, right?
Hmm.
And here, what we're talking about is not the mind who's
Yes.
deciding,
Yeah.
okay, let me do this, this sounds
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
right? Or I cannot take this. It's not a thinking
Yes.
thing,
Yes. Yes.
it's just,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's why the author shared that this example, the Vietnamese and the other example, this is beyond what we are discussing, that, how much
Mm-hmm.
altruism is good, and, don't begin to harm yourself. This is beyond that, what the examples that she was sharing. And then, of course, she also shared other examples of where the altruism thing can happen. It can become pathological, in the sense, like, if I am a psychologist and I'm seeing patients, many a times I overdo it, like seeing so many patients that even I can't take care of my own self, and, I have a burnout or something. So, there, I think on those levels, this discussion can be, but not at these levels, what we were talking about. Yeah.
Could you just repeat the last sentence you said? The screen got hanged for me, just the last.
So I was just sharing that she also shared example of her psychologist friend who, after many many years of being in this profession, had a burnout, like could not take anymore. So there she was discussing that in these, on that ground, you can say that, okay, is this harming you? Okay, stop. But what we were discussing, these examples, whether of freedom fight or, these Vietnamese, there it doesn't, it is not applicable there. This discussion is not applicable. Yeah, it's of a different dimension. Yeah. And also, what she shared was very interesting, because many a times listening to people and their issues, something in us wants to fix, let me fix this up, especially when our profession is such, or, our field is such. So there she was sharing that is also like, it's almost like unkindness on one hand, because we don't realize the complexity of things in each and everyone's lives, like, multiple things, multiple levels, entanglement of forces. So there is no quick fix, and many a times we also burn ourselves out when we want to, from our side, apply a quick fix. So there we are disregarding the complexity which we are not aware of. Yeah. So maybe we can take this more. Oh, wow. Okay. So this one is finishing here, the release from heart and mind. Here we are with the released heart and mind. The chapter is finished. Yeah. Yeah. Would anyone want to read? Taru, you want to go ahead? Read this one.
Yeah. Even, I'm so sorry, even this word capable of utter silence, right? We all want silence. We all want peace. But how it's not even, because lot of times the silence and peace we want is just in the outside, and as soon as the outside becomes silent, the chatter starts, which he was talking about before. The capable of utter silence. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I will go ahead. For perfection, there is necessary also the resumption by the Purusha of his position as the Lord of his nature, and the will to replace the mere mental undercurrent by the truth consciousness thought that lightens from above. That again. For perfection, there is necessary also the resumption by the Purusha of his position as the Lord of his nature, and the will to replace the mere undercurrent and inter.
Yeah, I thought maybe my internet was unstable, but maybe it was Tarun's. Are you there, Priyanka and Anjali?
I'm there.
Okay, so did you also feel that interruption
Yeah,
with
I
the?
think it was Taru's internet.
Okay, okay. I thought it was me who is
No,
stuck. Yeah. So maybe you can go ahead, Priyanka, if you are
Yeah, okay.
unmuted. Yeah.
For perfection, she's back.
Okay, okay. Chalo, ठीक है. Let her come in. Okay, so I was thinking that my internet is stuck, but it was you.
No, yeah, I think there's some upgradation happening at my end.
Okay, okay,
It's getting on and off. Yeah.
okay, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
You can read it
But
all
the
over again.
silence is,
क्योंकि बीच बीच में सारा कट ही
yeah,
रहा था.
I
हाँ.
think
अभी भी कट रहा है. It's
that
like
was
cracking.
okay.
Do you have mobile
So
data?
why don't then so I think I should not then go, my something
अच्छा,
is wrong.
अच्छा.
So
ठीक है, ठीक है, ठीक है,
somebody else, it's better because my,
ठीक है,
yeah.
ठीक है.
I can
Yeah.
read.
Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
For perfection, there is necessary also the resumption by the Purusha of his position as the Lord of his nature, and the will to replace the mere mental undercurrent and intellect by the truth conscious thought that lightens from above. But the silence is necessary. In the silence and not in the thought, we shall find the self. We shall become aware of it, not merely conceive it, and we shall withdraw out the mental Purusha into that which is the source of the mind. But for this withdrawal, a final liberation is needed, the release from the ego sense in the mind.
Yeah. So again, a beautiful connection with the what, like the meditative processes, for example, that we follow, looking at the breath, then looking at the thoughts, stepping back, taking stance as awareness, you know, that as if you have a description of something like that. Dr. Anjali, you were sharing something?
I was saying that when you read it, then the meaning of all these essence, you can catch it. But then it slips also. So you have to read it again and you need your explanation also. That is what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. So now, now comes what is very special with integral yoga of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, that it is not world shunning, it is world accepting. So I am not just going to now become just awareness and no engagement in thoughts, nothing to do with feelings. No, nothing like that. Because many a times we have that outer perception that I'll become like that, like, all the fun in my life is gone, something like that. So here he says that now for integral perfection, what Sri Aurobindo and Mother talk of, for perfection, there is necessary also the resumption by the Purusha. So first this stepping back and empowering, gaining empowerment, the see, I am, the master of my being, of this instrument that is there, thought, feeling, emotions, the body. Here, So resumption by the Purusha of his position as the Lord of his nature. So, we see this in Savitri also, we see this with other anecdotes also by Mother Sri Aurobindo, that Mother says that, Mother uses this line, I'm remembering that, without me, he is unmanifest.
Unmanifest. Without him,
Without him,
I exist not.
I exist not. Exactly. Thank you. So, knowing that all that Prakriti does is to please her Lord, which usually is in the background. This consciousness or presence of awareness that we say. So it's always in the background, but it has chosen, in Savitri we see that it has chosen to be in the background. So that, in the beginning when ignorance is there, he says that, oh, Prakriti, I give you the dominant hand. I will be the supernumerary. That's the word Sri Aurobindo uses in Savitri. I will be a backstage actor, like, in movies we have crowds of people, dancing, and I'll be just one of them. So I would not be the main hero. You be the main person. You be. So that's why we see that in our life, when
In
we are,
ashram life also he did the same thing.
yes,
He
yes,
went in the background and kept mother and
yes,
the ashram.
yes, very true. Yes, that's a very good example of this kind of a working. Yes. So, in our life, what happens is that initially, as we are groping in darkness, our life experiences are our best teachers. They like
Undoubtedly.
do they live like this, and then that, and like that we learn, and that's what exactly these lines come in Savitri, that it's like Purusha's gymnasium. The psychic being is evolving through the experiences of life,
Okay.
in ignorance. But then slowly he also shares, same in Savitri, he also shares that it doesn't have to remain all the time like that. So Purusha, when the evolution is that much enough, then the Purusha comes forward. He says, now I know I am the Lord of this nature. And that's why with Mother Sri Aurobindo, we see that Sri Aurobindo sitting in Pondicherry, he is manipulating and, directing the events, World War, India's freedom struggle. So now one can exert, but not before all this. And that's why we see that when we ourselves shift, truly shift from within, we see that outer situations change.
One question always comes in my mind, which may be out of context, but since you referred this, he was sitting in room and was manipulating in movement. When he sent this proposal to accept Cripps Commission proposal 3 times, and Gandhiji did not accept that. So, and he could see the future of India was not good when the partition was there. Why he did not take action?
I think we'll have to ask Sri Aurobindo only. Nobody else could comment. I have no clue. Yeah.
आलोक दास से पूछेंगे, वो बताएंगे।
Yeah. Better.
हाँ.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry for disruption.
Yeah. So
Yes. Psychic being
I
evolving.
think we also see, you know, this with this question that you shared, that, for example, in uh, see this one, memorable contacts with mother, or 12 years with Sri Aurobindo, we see that uh, we see the complexity of things. It's like not black and white. You know, so that is very, very clear. This thing is clear. We don't know why Sri Aurobindo did that, but this thing is clear that things are happening at various levels. Things are entangled and very, very complex. So it's just not that black and white ki agar ye tha to ye kyun nahi hua, right? And like that, we also see that how in World War, Niruddha shares, you know, how in World War that many people were actually very, you know, not very happy with Sri Aurobindo, that why is he taking, you know,
He's
side of
supporting
the
the-
Allies, yes, or
Yeah.
British. But he had a larger plan, which we can't know. And he knew that if we support the British right now, then only we can, you know, suppress or curb this Nazi regime that is going to spread all over. So वही है ना, मतलब it's so
But
complex
you could
that
see that Hitler was captivated by the Asuri Shakti. So वो तो, he knew it, and it was essential to save the humanity. Otherwise, if it is not done, then the humanity will go thousands of years back to the origin.
But people could not understand it back then. You know, they were very like shocked that how can Sri Aurobindo donate funds there, you know, something like that.
In fact, he wrote that speech which Churchill read. What Churchill spoke, that was very motivating speech. He wrote it before. I mean, he could communicate all those vibrations over there. It was not that he sent the letter. No, not like that. He had already written that speech, and he was sending his power to Churchill.
Yes. And Mother also says that, you know, again, some people were commenting that why have you chosen Churchill as an instrument? You know, and Mother says that he's open. Mother says that he's open.
He's open.
And she also shares that many a times it happens that a person is open in some phase of his life, and then later on he can become as egoistic, but something of that impression will still remain. So he'll be still,
Please go ahead.
No, please go ahead. It's nothing.
She also said during this China war that Chinese were more receptive than our soldiers.
Yeah. So see, you know, so many things are there. There again, no black and white.
But I ask this question because this, when I see all these things, Hindu, Muslim, and things like that, so this question always comes in my mind. That's why I thought probably you have some answer to this.
No, I don't have.
So from deep words to outer life, the lighter lights, everything is so connected with these.
Absolutely. So here, you know, we were reading that it's not just a stepping back. Now it's also reclaiming. Like I come back and I reclaim my kingdom. What the words that Sri Aurobindo uses is samrat. You know, this is swaraj. It's, you know, now the true king is in action. As consciousness, now the true king is in action. So for perfection in thought, perfection is in feelings, perfection in emotions, sensations, there it is necessary also the resumption by the Purusha of his position as the lord of his nature. So I don't have to leave the thoughts and feelings unrefined as it is. You know, like, okay, I'm stepping back and they can remain impure. No, you know, now detailed perfection is to be achieved. And the will to replace the mere mental undercurrent and intellect, which was earlier my life, by the truth conscious thought. So thought is still there. You know, now it's a wide, expansive, interconnected thought. It's not like, you know, repetitive, vicious loops of thoughts which are not beneficial to either me or people around me. So by the conscious thought that lightens from above, which is in connection with the truth consciousness, which is in connection with the light above. That's what we call as when we notice our ill will and we now transmute it into goodwill, knowing that again and again as repetitive patterns, ill will is there by default. So I notice it, it's the awareness which is noticing it. Now the awareness is again stepping back from it, knowing that no, this is not me. This impurity is not me. And putting heart into something of goodwill. So rejoicing in the happiness of others or rejoicing in other people's success. May they be happy, may they be benefited. So that is the replacement. But the silence is necessary. We can't bypass this step. Because silence is like emptying of container. If I want true light, if I want a pure life, I have to, clear my container of the muck and all the rotten stuff that is there. So this silence is like continuous cleaning of that container. It's continuous, we have to maintain that silence. And in that silence, the truth can manifest. Where Sri Aurobindo says that if you really want to install the divine presence in your temple within, you have to prepare for it. You have to keep the temple clean. And we have, metaphorically speaking, we have many outer examples. In our temples, South Indian temples all around, what we do, we keep invoking peace, then we keep clarifying all the clutter, making it decorative, simple, neat, clean, tidy. That's what we have to do within also. So in the silence and not in the thought, again very important, in the silence and not in the thought, we shall find the self. We shall become aware of it, not merely conceive it. It's not only just a conception in the head and mental philosophizing of it, not merely conceive it, and we shall withdraw out of the mental Purusha into that which is the source of mind. Now the wave crashes back into the ocean and knows itself as the ocean. And in Buddhist terminology, we call it, pristine awareness. That's where you are now coming back to the nature of the mind, to the source of the mind. What is the source of the wave? The source of the wave is the ocean. Now it's a different thing when we are talking about the ocean, but it's a different thing to realize that we are that ocean. That's where our sadhana lies. That realization, practical, has to be there. So the wave crashes back in the ocean, the mind goes back into that nature of its truth, where it is coming from. And to me it appears that even throughout the day, if we have little glimpses of this crashing back into our source, which we can have, it's like mind takes the dip in the holy Ganges within, and when the mind arises out of that dip, it's a different mind. Its quality has changed. Usually we are dipping ourselves in drain water, all the thoughts and opinions and ideas and repetitive loops of stories. That's where we rest. So it's very important to see where is the mind resting. If it's resting in this silence, which is its origin, then when the mind rises after this silence into action, it's a different mind. The quality is different. Yes. Yeah. So I think this is very, for me, I find it very helpful to see where is the mind resting. Is it resting in identification with thoughts and loops all the time, or it is resting in the source of the mind, which is this silence, self. But for this withdrawal, a final liberation is needed. And now in the next chapter, he would talk about that, the release from the ego sense in the mind. Me, the limited self, my story, my liberation. So that I think will come to next, the release from the ego.
This thing reminded me one thing. with Nilsi Di when we were, she was conducting workshop, that we should in between for the whole day, we can schedule that after 1 hour, I'll keep silence for 2 minutes, or in between, whenever you feel like, you should keep silence for some time. So that when you said dipping in the silence and the quality of our mind, so when fed up the continuous thought, then probably it's not essential that meditation time is there. Whenever you find time, you just be in silence.
Yes. That's why I think I'm again just reconnecting that's why Kabir would say that in this very body you have the holy Ganges,
Hmm.
and in this very body you have that treasure to be found. If only we can, access that silence.
गंगा जल को छाण महात्म दुर्मत खूट खनावे.
What's that? I've never heard of that.
Ganga jal means durmat one, the person who is not good sense, durmati, bad thinking, things like that. Koop khanave means, well, you are, Ganga jal is there in your here, but you don't know about the importance of the Ganga jal because of your durmati, because of your ill thinking, and you are digging your koop within that. Ganga jal ko chhan mahatam durmat koop khanave.
Is this Kabir ji's?
Kabir.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you.
So Kabir is more of towards wisdom and knowledge. And the other center, they are towards bhakti. Meera is towards bhakti and Kabir is towards more. So coming to Sri Aurobindo's, this is vital and this is the mental, this thing, right? Rain yoga.
Yeah. So I think maybe today we can take up anything last, any comments, any reflections, and next we can see if we want to start with release from the ego. Yeah.
We haven't done the release from subjection to the body. So do you want
Oh,
to
we
take-
have to. Yes. I think. Thank you.
I was looking at the
वो तो मेरा हो गया, सुनो, release from the body. That's why I jumped directly to heart and mind. Why didn't you realize?
So let's go back, and then when we do body, we must one more time just give a reading to the mind, so that
Of course,
we
that
then
would
go
be a
to the
nice
ego.
thing.
That
Yes.
would be nice.
So next time we can take release from the body.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Taru is looking, smiling at me with a revolving chair. Yeah, ठीक है. Yeah, we'll take a release from the body. Yeah, we skipped that. Thank you for the reminder.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you,
Today's,
everyone.
the significance of today's is also the new body. So
Mm.
is the right thing that we should know the new body.
True. Yeah, Mahasamadhi day. Yes.
Mahasamadhi,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks
Thank-
everyone. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you everybody
Bye,
for
thank you.
enlightening.